And so your exam last Monday was on social forestry, extension, and then agroforestry. So our goal this morning is that I will give you the answers, then explain a little bit siguro para di kayo time consuming a little bit on the answers, particularly on those items na kinahanglan gid siya i-explain. No? So if you have questions, you may just interrupt me. I-unmute lang na inyong mic, and then you can ask anything related sa atong discussion this morning. So, okay, let's start with question number 1. So again, the topic that you have taken this last Monday is on social forestry, extension, and agroforestry. So this is the last topic na for the governance. And next week is your midterm exam na. So your midterm exam coverage is on forest ecosystem, and then forest governance and social forestry. Okay? Sige. So question number 1. So the first question is, shifting cultivation generally uses human energy to convert a forest for agricultural land use. So Act number 274 refers to Kaingin Law. So what is the answer? Answer. Anyone?
All true, sir.
Yeah, answer. Anyone? Kinsa to? Nainig tubagan niya?
All true, sir.
Yeah, that's correct. So all statements are, this should be all statements. All statements are true. All statements. All statements. So the correct answer for number 1 is all statements are true. Yeah. Sige. So next question. Which of the following was embodied in Act 274 of 1901? So is it prosecution of illegal miners, prosecution of illegal loggers, prosecution of hunters of wildlife in protected areas, and then prosecution of kaingineros and other forest occupants from forest land? So which is the answer?
Prosecution of Caingeros.
Yeah, prosecution of kaingineros and other forest occupants. This one is related sa first question. So Act number 274 refers to kaingin law. So embodied in Act number 274 of 1901 is that the prosecution of kaingineros and other forest occupants from forest land. If you want to check the copy of Act number 274, then you can just simply kanang search on the internet sa ano niyang app. So search naman ni. Although this one is quite old na policy. So the next question. The year 1994 to 2003 has been declared by United Nations as, this answer, World Decade of Forest Communities, World Decade of Foresters, World Decade of Indigenous People, World Decade of Women. So it's my answer. Anyone?
World Decade of Indigenous People, sir.
Yeah, that's correct. World Decade of Indigenous People. So that's the answer for 1990. Basically, ang International Year of World's Indigenous, timanin ninyo ha, when in 1993, the UN General Assembly has declared that the International Year of World's Indigenous People is 1993. And in the same year, the UN Assembly has declared that the International Decade of the World Indigenous People will start on 1994. So, start sa 1994, then mag-end siya on 2003. Correct answer is World Decade of Indigenous People. So, next question. The development and behavior of a forest fire is dictated by heat transfer, which is influenced by. So, this one is an agroforestry na question. The development and behavior of a forest fire is dictated by heat transfer, which is influenced by temperature and wind only, temperature and vegetation only, existing climatic and physical condition, and vegetation and temperature only. So, what's the answer?
Existing climatic and physical conditions, sir.
Yeah, the existing climatic and physical condition. So, this one is the correct, check naman there. That's the correct answer. So, existing climatic, particularly the climatic condition man good. We say climatic condition that refers to the longer duration of weather, diba? Weather conditions. Mas taas siya ng duration. So, we talk about climate that refers to say warm or cold or uh, rainy season or dry season. So, the more na mas prone ang dry season, and given with the physical condition of site, say physical condition, that's quite general. So, the topography, the vegetation existing, so the type of flora that is present. So, that's why these two are the major controlling factor on the forest fires. Climatic and physical conditions. So next question, income generating activities managed by integrated social forestry participant within the integrated social forestry communities is referred to as, so man, the correct answer for this one is upland livelihood enterprises. Okay, so we say integrated social forestry, that refers to upland communities man. So upland, we call this one the income generating activities of those ISF na participants are called upland livelihood enterprises. Next, a planned trip usually outside the community for farmers to see and witness a certain improved practice or successful project. This one is extension. Si answer yan eh. A planned trip usually
Farmer's
outside.
class, sir.
Ha?
Farmer's class.
Not actually farmer's class, it's field trip. I actually revised this one. The correct answer for this one is field trip. So, kasi a planned trip, meaning adtugid sila on-site. So, outside the community man. So, planned trip outside the community for them to at least witness a certain practice or as a successful na project. That's actually a field trip. A farmer's class is actually a discussion, a discussion, a group discussion with the farmers. So, relating to the practices na ilang ginabuhat and in ways of improvement. Next question, which of the following forestry extension techniques is not classified under mass contact? Which of the following forestry extension techniques is not classified under mass contact?
Audiovisual, sir.
Yeah, that's correct. Audiovisual. Audiovisual is not a mass, it's a group contact. Okay. This agroforestry system started in Burma, where farmers are involved by the government in reforestation while allowing them to plant food crops simultaneously while trees are still young until canopies close. Saan nga system? Saan nga farming system?
Ang niya system.
So, itanong daw nila ang mga plant food crops with the trees when the trees are still young. So, meaning basically magtukod yapon sila plantation, but when mugbo pa ang kahoy, so magtanom sa sila sa mais or any food crops or vegetables before pa mo reach og higher canopies ang mga kahoy. Kung saan nga type of system or farming system.
Tongya, sir.
Yeah, this one is taongya. Taongya nga farming system. Okay? Manin ninyo ha. So, kini, IFMA holders are allowed to use up to blank suitable portion of their IFMA areas for agricultural purpose. Pila daw? So, di ba, ang Integrated Forest Management Agreement, mura na siya na ay forest land, i-allow ang certain group of, let's say, PO or, I think, a people's organization to utilize a certain area of forest land. And we are talking about 1,000, even thousands of hectares. So in this question, ginapangutan ta if from those forest land, how much area can be used only for agricultural purpose? So the right answer for this one is 10%. So the basis for that 10% is actually on the uh, section 14 of DAO 53 of 1999. Sige, let's check that one kana nga policy. Uh, Actually, I'm giving you a file. This one is like a consolidated na mga policies. I don't know if naa na siguro sige tagaan na mo sa inyong mga policy nga instructor ani. Isa ba yung policy? Ma'am Ruding? Okay? Isa yung policy? Anyone? Kalimot na mo?
Ma'am din, sir.
Hindi. Gitagaan mo niya compilation, kita policies, kini ba kini yun? Ana?
Wala, sir.
Kitaan na natin mo. So, katong question ganiya, nangunta na pila ka percent lang ang pwede gamiton for agricultural land use sa mga IFMA holders. So, that was actually embedded in DAO 53 of 1999. So, ato na siyang i-search nga administrative order. So, DNR administrative order ha. So, compilation. So, I think that, yeah, that's here. Annual compilation. You just i-click lang na imong allow. And then, forward ka sa year. Let's go to 1999. Yan. 1999. So, atong target is DAO 53 of 1999. Dito naka-embed na ang IFMA. 53. Ayan. Regulations, the 99-53 regulations governing the Integrated Forest Management Program. So, you just click this one. Allow. And then, dalawang kanya sa policy. DAO 53 of 1999, regulations governing the IFMA. So that policy was actually found in section 14. 14. Let's go to section 14, chapter 2, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Ayan. Responsibilities of IFMA holders. So all IFMA shall include the following conditions and or responsibilities holders thereof shall comply with. Let's go to 14.5. Section 14, 14.5. Plant principally timber-producing species compatible with the ecological and biophysical characteristics of the area, but not excluding rubber, durian, and non-timber species like rattan and bamboo. So, provided that a suitable area of at most 10% therein may be used for agricultural purpose, provided further that the endeavors are included and scheduled in approval with CDMP, provided finally that total plantable areas have been planted based on the rotation period of plantations but not exceeding 12 years. Okay? So, nadrio, that a suitable area at most 10% therein may be used for agricultural purpose. So, naadire nga katong question. Manin ninyo ha. So, for safety, inyo na lang din yung basahon na policy. Ma-target man ninyo unsa nga mga policy ang kinahanglan ninyo basahon. Ibutang na ni sa inyong lista. Kining DAO 53 of 1999. Kining regulations of IFMA. Kana DAO 53 of 1999. Kanang 99 mo na ang year, okay? 1999. Ang 53 series na. So, number 53 siya nga DAO of 1999. Okay? So, for safety, basahon na lang ninyo na policy. Okay, let's go back. Ano ta ito? Yan. Kita na ninyo? Okay na? Kita na ninyo ang screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Sige. Next question. So the minimum area that may be covered by an IFMA is 500 hectares and the maximum is 20,000 hectares. An IFMA holder may hold more than one IFMA simultaneously, but the aggregate total size of IFMA areas should not exceed 40,000 hectares. Which statement is correct? So, asaan na? Asaan eh? Asaan nga statement ang correct? First statement or second statement? So, the minimum area that may covered by an IFMA, so think, mag-isip mo critically ha, dili lang mo mag-isip kung timanan ninyo asang answer. So, basahon ninyo kayo ang question. So, the minimum area may be covered by an IFMA is 500 hectares daw, minimum area. And the maximum is 20,000 hectares. An IFMA holder may hold more than one IFMA simultaneously, but the aggregate total size of IFMA area should not exceed 40,000. Actually, both statements are correct. Okay? Asa ni makita nga policy? Kung nagyap po dito, let's go back dito sa go back to DAO 53 of 1999. Ayan. Let's go to section 6. Section 6. Yan. Size of IFMA area. So the minimum size of the area that may covered by an IFMA shall have 500 hectares and the maximum size may depend upon the applicant and develop and manage productive condition as well as the requirement of him processing plant is to be installed in the area region, provided that it shall not exceed 40,000 hectares. So minimum is 500 hectares and shall not exceed 40,000 hectares. So sakto ang first na statement, di ba? So ang second statement dito sa question, ingon siya nga, an IFMA holder may hold more than one IFMA simultaneously, but the aggregate total size of IFMA area should not exceed 40,000. So, ang isa daw ka IFMA holder, pwede siya maghawid og duha ka IFMA. Pero, in total, katong iyang IFMA nga gipang occupy, dili gyapon pwede mo exceed og 40,000 hectares. Asa na pangitawon? Ato tag section 20. Section 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. And then let's go. Section 20, incentives. The IFMA holder shall be entitled of the following incentives. Let's go to 20.8. An IFMA holder who has satisfactorily complied with the terms and conditions of this IFMA based on the performance evaluation by the DNR may be allowed to either an additional area of existing IFMA area provided that an resulting aggregate size of the IFMA area shall not exceed 40,000 hectares. So sakto ang second na statement. So therefore, both statements are correct. So that's why I'm really suggesting to you na inyo ning basahon na lang ang policy instead na magtimaan lang mo sa question. So remember, this one is DAO 53 of 1999. So anyway, I will give you this this electronic file. Yan. So okay na ni. So next question. A certificate issued by the DNR to an indigenous Filipino individual family or clan declaring, identifying, and recognizing their claim to a particular area that they have traditionally possessed, occupied, and used themselves or through their predecessors in interest since time immemorial. So, asang answer? Sa answer ni? Certificate issued by the DNR. Yeah. Kasi answer. Manawag na lang ko, be. Regine.
C.
Regine? Ay, yeah, Regine. Sa answer.
Supposedly, sir, C.
Ano sa?
Certificate of Ancestral Domain Claim.
Domain? Ano sa to? Regine?
Certificate of Ancestral Domain Claim.
You mean kini? Certificate of Ancestral Domain. Actually, the correct answer is kini. Certificate of Ancestral Land Claim. Certificate pa ang gihatag ha, dili pa title. Once title na ang ihatag, mao na to ang CADT or CALTI. Certificate of Ancestral Land Title or Certificate of Ancestral Domain Title. Sa day kalainan na. When say CALSI, let's say kining land claim, na mo diri ang clue, land claim and domain claim, lugar kung CADT. Kung Certificate of Ancestral Domain Claim, kasi tangan ko ni claim, kasi kalainan anak nila. The difference actually, when we say land claim, you are only referring to the area. Ang yuta lang. Okay? Like in this question, recognizing their claim to a particular area that they have traditionally possessed. When you say domain claim, that includes the area and all the resources therein. Pag moingon na gani ang pag moingon na gani sa diri sa definition or sa question na recognizing their claim to a particular area including all the resources therein, resources meaning lasang, tubig, bake or unsa ba na nga resources nga naa within that area, that is already domain claim. Pag land claim, you are referring only sa area. Okay? Kuha ninyo ang difference? Dahil yung certificate pa. When you say certificate, claim pa lang na. But if ningon na din nga a title na ang gihatag, then kato na ang mga CALTI or CADTI. Certificate of Ancestral Land Title or Certificate of Ancestral Domain Title. Kuha ninyo. Okay, kuha ba ninyo?
Yes, sir.
Hubot ang uban. Kuha ninyo?
Yes.
Sige, so na to ha. So for this question, the answer is ancestral land claim. You are only referring to the area. But if ningon nag area and all the resources na naadya na area, then that's already ancestral domain claim. Okay? That's the answer for this question. Next, allowing the cropland to lie idle, either tilled or untilled during the whole greater portion of a growing season. So what's the answer, ani? Erasmo? Allowing cropland to lie idle, either tilled or untilled during the whole greater portion of the growing season.
Following that.
Ha? Saan sa Louis? Saan sa Leo?
Following that.
Yeah, correct answer is following. Following ha, meaning pahulay. Yeah, salt 4 is one of the modifications of the original sloping agricultural land technology, which means asa din ang salt 4 Crisame. Crisame.
Cancer, small agri-food livelihood technology.
That's correct. So this one is salt 4 ha. Timanin na niyo pati mo mag-ibog. Salt 4, small agro-fruit livelihood technology. Okay? Ano siyang salt 4. Ang salt 1, ano yung salt 1? Sloping agricultural land technology. Ano siyang salt 1. Ang salt 2, katong simple agro-livestock kini. Ano yung salt 2? Dayon ang salt 3, sustainable agroforest land kini. It should be land ni. Small agroforest land technology. Ano yung salt 3? Salt 4 is small agrofruit livelihood technology. Manin nyo ha. Next. A cost-effective and economical regenerative strategy that takes advantage of the natural regeneration of broadleaf species that liberate these species from competing vegetation, encourage faster growth, and facilitate their domination over site. What is the answer? Lester,
Sir,
say answer ano eh?
sir, assisted natural regeneration.
That's correct. Good. So, assisted natural regeneration. Timanin ninyo ha. So, when you say assisted natural regeneration, ano to? Saka man. So, it takes advantage the natural regeneration of broadleaf species and liberate these species from competing vegetation. Okay? Ang enrichment planting, mo na katong magtanom lang sila doon dito sa mga kanang plantable area or available spaces sa isa ka existing na forest. Yun na enrichment planting. Ang TSI, this is for timber production. When you try to improve the genetic quality na sa imong stand, sa imong forest. So next, as indicated by DAO 2004-29, CBFM participants are allowed to occupy, develop, protect, manage, and utilize the forest land and its resources within the designated CBFM area and claim ownership of the introduced improvements. However, government can always implement projects within CBFM area without the need to consult the concerned PO. Tama na? Sakto ba ni? Siyan na. Dahil na.
Only the first statement is true, sir.
Correct. So only the first statement is correct. So wrong na ang second statement because government project shall always consult the PO kung naa dito i-implement sulod sa CBFM area. So asa ni dapit na ani sa DAO 2004-29. So let's open nga na DAO. Let's check if na ako yung copy. Can go in 8 minutes ha. Okay, may taon to. Katong first statement, ingon dito, CBFM participants are allowed to occupy, develop, protect, and manage and utilize forest land and its resources within the designated CBFM area and claim ownership of introduced improvement. So, mato ta sa section 6. Section 11. Section 6. Ayan, incentives of PO. To occupy, develop, protect, and manage utilized forest land and its resources within a designated CBFM area and claim ownership of the introduced improvement. So, sakto ang first statement. Okay? Sakto to ang first statement. Ang second statement, ingon dito na however, the government, ang gobyerno, can always implement project within the CBFM area without the need to consult the concerned PO. So, matuta sa D. To properly inform of to be consulted on all government projects to be implemented in the area. So, pana pa lang, meaning wrong na ang second statement. So, the government will consult the PO in all the projects to be implemented in the area. So, that's why the second statement is wrong. So, this is on DAO 2004-29. Okay? So, taga-antara mo mga kopya ni. Okay. Let's go back. 6 minutes. So, DAO 1996-29, CBFM projects are exempted from paying the following, except application fee, rental fee, license permit, forest charges for naturally growing timber. So actually, they are exempted on forest charges based on DAO 1996-29. So ato ba ng tanawon? Sige, let's look for that policy. 1996-29. Okay. Let's go to 1996. 1996 dash, if I'm not mistaken, DAO 1996-29. Yeah. Let's go to 29. Ayan, rules and regulations for the implementation of EO 263 known as Community-Based Forest Management Strategy. So let's go to section Article 2, Section 4. The down CBFM are exempted from paying the following forest charges except Section 16. Article 2 would be incentives nila Section 2 incentives of PO number 4. Yan, no? To be exempt from paying forest charges. Exempted sila sa pagbayad sa forest charges on only lang ha, on timber and non-timber products harvested from plantations in accordance with RA 7161. So forest charges lang sa katong mga timber and non-timber forest products harvested from plantation. However, dito sa question, if we go back, they are not exempted if the timber nga gikuha nilang forest resource is from naturally growing na timber, if it's naturally growing, okay, meaning from natural forest siya nga timber. So dili sila exempted, bayaran nila ang forest charges ato. Malibre lang sila kung ang timber nga gikuha nila gikan sa plantation within the CBFM area. Okay? So naagyapon na ito, DAO 1996-29. So for safety, inyo gyapon to basahon. The People's Organization percentage share in harvest of government-owned plantation in CBFM areas are stipulated in DNR Administrative Order 98-42 is blank of the gross sales. The correct answer is 75. So ang share daw sa PO. So ang share sa PO sa pag-harvest sa government-owned CBFM areas based sa DAOD 98-42 is 75% of the gross sales. Okay? 75%. Mo na ang share sa PO. Okay? Naana dito sa section 4 sa kini nga policy. So pangitaalan nyo, DAO 98-42 section 4. So naka-indicate dito sa section 4 na 75%. Ako na lang ipakita ng DAO 98-42. Although, okay, 2 minutes. Let's finish this one. Then let's go to 42. 42, DAO 98-42 ha, production sharing agreements with PO. Section 4, let's go to section 4. Tara, government share. Government share in harvest of government-owned forest plantations. So for people's organization, 75% of the gross sales sa ila padulong. Okay? For the government, 12.5% of the gross sales. For the CBFM fund created under Section 8 of EU 263, 12% of the gross sales. Okay? So, ang correct answer kaganiya sa question is 75%. Sige. So, mag-end ko dire, maghatag kog new link sa inyo kay ma-expire ang kini nga link sa Zoom. So, see you again sa later. Ha? Mag-create lang kog new nga meeting. So, let's continue. So, the answer for this one is 75%. Ha? So next, if in case there are adverse claimants or any party alleging conflict claims over identified CBFM area, the concerned party should, in case if there are adverse claimants or any party alleging conflicting claims, meaning more gailog sila over identified CBFM area, the concerned party should, the correct answer for this one is file their complaints before the regional executive director within 30 days from the date of notification. So kana siya is naa siya dito sa DAO 1996-29. Itong kaganihan gipakita nako. DAO 1996-29. Sige, magto na lang ta dito. DAO 1996 go to 29. Rules and regulations of CBFM. And then let's go to section 5. Section Article 3. Tara. Processing of conflicting claims. This one is Article 3, Section 5. Adverse claimants or any party alleging conflicting claims over identified CBFMP area or portions thereof shall file their complaints before the regional executive director within 30 days from the date of first publication or notification. So that's why sa red ha, sa regional executive director sila mag-file o complaint. Dili sa secretary within 30 days. So that's why the answer for this question is kini file their complaints before the red within 30 days of the date of notification. So that's why I'm really suggesting basahon na lang ninyo ang policy. So this one is DAO 1996-29. So income generating activities managed by ISF participants within the ISF communities is referred to as, same ni sa question kaganiya, that is upland livelihood enterprise, integrated social forestry participants. Correct answer is upland livelihood enterprise. It refers to the mixture of woody perennials with cultivated crops, pastures, and other agricultural enterprises. Correct answer for this one is agroforestry. So, mixture of woody perennials with cultivated crops, pasture, and other agricultural enterprises. So basically, that is agroforestry. Next question. Traditional practice of shifting cultivation is generally considered sustainable. This is because the practice, it applies practices of crop mixing and rotation. Which is the correct answer, Ani? Tricia.
First statement is true while the second is false, sir.
Yeah, that's correct. So first statement is true while the second is false. It's because practices of crop mixing and rotation is not a shifting cultivation. Wala sila crop mixing. Sila rotation pero wala crop mixing.
Yes, mama ba?
Next. It is an imaginary line indicating equal points of elevation in a sloping area. Ipoy, nari. Chance yan eh. An imaginary line indicating equal points of elevation in a sloping area. Ipoy?
Contour, sir.
Yeah, that's correct. Contour. The correct answer is contour. An imaginary line indicating equal points of elevation in a sloping area. So next. The rule of thumb in the establishment of hedgerows, the steeper the slopes, the blank the distance between hedgerows. Si answer ani Samuel Subido.
Narrower, sir.
No, it's actually the same. So, same ginapermi ang distance sa imong hedgerows. Ang hedgerows, di ba kanang kung sa agroforestry na ay contours. So, ang imong hedgerows, kung unsay distance nimo sa imong hedgerows, maski unsa pa ka slopey ang area, the same ra gid na siya og distance. Dili pwede naay magdugol nga contour or naay maglagyo nga contour. So, wala usually ang kuan makahitabo sa king agroforestry nga mag-establish og hedgerows. So, the same ha. Which of the following situations contributed to the emergence of community forestry? So, sa daw, which of the following situations contributed to the emergence of community forestry? So daw mga hinungdan nganong na-develop ang community forestry. The answer is all of the above. Unequal opportunities in the forest resource management, is correct. Poor performance of state and forest governance, that's correct. Realization of national ideas of democracy and social justice, that's correct. So that's why from this na-develop ang community forestry. There are actually some other reasons, dili lang kini. The dialect term word pinugo refers to saman Lester. Jenisa. Kaya Lester, ikaw na lang Lester. Pinugo
Rice field, sir. Rice fields.
It's actually the forest. Baliktad ka.
Rice forest, eh.
I actually changed the answer for this one. Baliktad. Ang payo mo ay rice field. Ang pinugo ang forest. Yung tawag po ni pinugo payo or muyong na system. Ano bitong Banawi rice terraces, muyong na system. So pinugo ang forest, payo ang rice field. Okay? It involves a wide range of activities linking rural people with forests, trees, and the products and the benefits derived from them. What's the answer? Daina?
Sustainable development da.
No. It's actually community forestry. So, community forestry na ha. Bag mayong kag-itin wide range of activities linking rural people with forests, trees, activities na we're talking about activities. Linking rural people with forest, trees, and products and benefits derived from therein. That's community forestry. We say a sustainable development, that is utilization of the existing resource without compromising its availability in the future. That's sustainable forestry. Social forestry is a branch of science dealing with understanding the social context in forest. Social context related for those communities occupying or adjacent to the forest. So, this one is the branch of science. Kini ang related sa referring to the activities relating to linking rural people with forests, trees, and products. Benefits derived from them. Okay. Which models hinders the full participation of local people in the design of their farming system? Junisa, about which models hinders?
Season.
You mean modified feedback technology and transfer model?
Asa.
Correct answer this one is top-down technology transfer model. Uy. Which model hinders full participation of local people in the design of their farming system? Okay? Maghinder daw do sa participation of local people in the design of their farming system. Top-down technology transfer, farmer back to farmer model, modified feedback technology transfer model, feedback technology transfer model. Correct answer is top-down. Ang top-down, para bitaw, walay masulti ang katong mga farmer sa about sa ang ilang practice, basta sundon lang nila kung unsa ang gitudlo sa ilaha. So that's actually a poor type of kining extension nga modality ang top down. So dapat maminaw gid ta kung unsa ang ilaha pong practice because daghan na sila kahibalan pud na sa ilang daghan na sila kahibalo sa ilang farming system. So therefore, ang atong pamaagi and ilang pamaagi emerge nato for a better na farming system. So inana. So medyo ginahinder sa kining top-down technology transfer model ang full participation of local people. Kini sa farmer to farmer, full participation gid ni kay sila ang magtinudluay. Ang kining duha, modified feedback technology transfer, mura ni sila naa sila buhaton, tanawon ang result, tagaan din sila feedback about sa ilang sa ilang gibuhat. So sila mismo ang mag-analyze kung kamusta ang ilang practice. Okay? So pero kining top-down technology gina-inhibit niya ang full participation sa local people. Areas of the public domain which should not be reserved as wilderness area. Yan sa ano areas of the public domain which shall not be reserved as wilderness area. Correct answer is plantation forest. Okay. Wilderness can be a mossy forest, can be a critical watershed, can be a wilderness area, but not a plantation forest. Another, land of the public domain declared not needed for forest purposes. Asaan Samuel.
Agricultural land, sir.
Correct answer is alienable and disposable land. Not needed for forest purposes. Duha raman actually naraman na duha ka major classification, di ba? 1 to 18%, 1 to 17. Yeah, 1 to 17% is alienable and disposable land. 18% and above, that is already a forest land. So tanang 18% above na slope is forest land needed or needed for forest purposes. 17 below, that is already an A and D, alienable and disposable land. Mao ni matituluhan sa mga tao. So, which are not needed for forest purposes. Another, the following are responsibilities of an IFMA holder except Erika.
Forest research, sir.
Yeah, forest research. So, di na na-appeal sa ilang trabaho. Sa mga IFMA holder. Ilan ng IFMA holder? Income, yun na. Income and maintaining the forest. So, forest management, forest development, forest protection, but not forest research. Another, a license granted by DNR landowners themselves to cut, gather, collect, remove timber within private land. Si answer ani Tricia.
Private land timber permit, sir.
Yeah, correct. PLTP, private land timber permit. Next. Which of the following is the most important function of upland areas? Samuel, Regine.
All.
Ha? Regine?
All.
It's actually number 1. It's not all of the above. Okay? So, on question, which of the following is the most important function of upland areas? This one is correct. Serve as a life support system for the lowland and aquatic areas. In a relocation area for urban squatter, it's not a function of the upland areas. Okay, dili nga na trabaho ang relocation. Ang ilang trabaho sa upland areas, i-maintain nila ang viability sa upland area, especially the forest, which will eventually support the lowland and aquatic areas. Kaya if, kasi for example, na-degrade ang upland, pagka-degrade sa upland, nadaot ang lasang, therefore, unsay resulta dito sa lowland, nagbaha, nagka-flash flood, nagka-erode ang yuta padulong dito sa lowland, mga daot ang sapa sa lowland, mga daot ang ang dagat, okay, nadaot naman ang upland. So all kanang mga gikan sa upland, practices gikan sa upland na siya effect dito sa lowland. So that's why this one is the most important function niya. Next, which of the following are not qualified for CBFM participants? Leo, Erasmo. Leo, Erasmo.
Spirit sa
Ha?
spirit sa wala ko ba na
Kung madungog. The correct answer for this one is DNR employees. Okay. That's a conflict of interest na siya. Diba? Kamu pa ang mag-award, kamu pa yung mag-apply. So that's conflict of interest. So they are not allowed to participate in CBFM. Next, which of the following refers to the land of the public domain which has been declared as not needed for forest purposes? So maraming kaganihang question. The correct answer is A and D. Okay? Public domain which has been declared not needed for forest purposes. That's A and D lands. Next, a branch of forestry which actively involves people in any forest activity in order to uplift their socio-economic well-being and enhance ecological stability. The answer actually is community forestry Japan. Deals which actively involves people in any forest activity. Pareho rin sa katong ganiha. When you say referring to the activities,
Community forestry.
okay, activities which will focus on uplifting their socio-economic well-being and enhance ecological stability. The answer is community forestry. Next, the duration of CBFMA is pilaman. Trisha.
25 years renewable for another 25 years, sir.
Yeah, that's correct. So 25 years and renewable for another 25 years. So the cultural resources of the forest industry firm is called, basig new ni sa inyo ha. The cultural resources of a forest industry firm is called skilled workers. Cultural, we're talking about cultural ha. For example, ang imong industry kay ratan, mga wicker works. So ang kana imong ang design ang pag-design sa mga ratan nga mga kuan, mga furnitures o ratan nga mga articles, kinahanglan na og kanang experience and murag siguro murag kanang background or kanang traditional na practice ang production sa mga inana nga type of forest industry. That's why when you talk about cultural resources sa isa ka forest industry, you are referring to the skilled worker. Katong imong manpower, katong mga people mismo which are really capable on designing and making artifacts or not articles or furnitures designed based on their experience and cultural background. Siya. So, ang cultural resources, skilled workers. So, ICCs or Indigenous Cultural Communities, IPs in ancestral domain shall have sabihin mo ito ba gani? Si Erika. ICCs and IPs in ancestral domain shall have
The priority rights in harvesting, extraction, development, or exploitation of any natural resources, sir.
this one is correct. Kana siya. Muna na siya ang answer. So, ICCs and ancestral domain naman good. Say domain, land na siya of all resources, natural resources. So, ICC and IPs have the priority rights in harvesting, extraction, development, exploitation of any natural resources, therefore. Ay domain naman nila. So, who gives the final approval of IFMA with areas over 10,000 hectares? Saan eh? Lester.
Secretary, sir.
Yeah, secretary. Secretary na nga. Areas within ancestral domain found to be necessary for critical watershed, mangroves, wildlife sanctuary, wilderness protected areas, forest cover, reforestation shall be Samuel. Subido.
A, sir.
No, it's actually B. Maintain, manage, and develop for such purposes. Try to the question ha. Areas within ancestral domain, na daw sa ancestral domain, found to be necessary for critical watershed, mangroves, wildlife sanctuary, wilderness, protected areas, forest cover, and reforestation shall be always be maintained, managed, and developed for such purposes. Kaya if imo ning dauton, if i-convert ni nila into other land use, mga protected areas, watershed, mga critical watershed, then dako kay nga damage ang mahitabo. So also the government will not be in control of these areas. So that's why it should be maintained, managed, and developed for such only for these purposes lang. Okay? Wala laing purpose. So maintain, manage, and develop for such purposes. Next, as stated in the rules and regulations in the implementation of CBFM, which of the following is not a true about incentives of the PO? Janisa.
Occupy, sir.
Ano sa? Occupy? Ano to Janisa? Occupy? Kini? The correct answer is none. Sakto ni tanan. So, sakto ni tanan. So, they can occupy, of course. If gi-award sa ilang area, then therefore, pwede na nila i-occupy, possess, and utilize, and develop the forest land and its resources. Kung CBFM area siya. They also pay forest charges on timber and non-timber forest products harvested harvest from no, wait. The correct answer for this one is kini. Kini number 2. Let me correct this one. This should be the correct answer. Ano? So, CBFM ni ha. They are going to pay forest charges. They are exempted, okay? Ang isa ang incentive nila is that libre sila or they will not pay forest charges on timber and non-timber forest products harvested from plantations. Magbayad lang sila og forest charges if ang gi-harvest nila na timber and non-timber forest product kay gikan sa natural forest. Okay, so kini sayop ni ng portion. So dapat ang para masakto ni ang indicate din to be exempted in paying forest charges on timber and non-timber forest products from plantations. Kini to enter into agreements or contracts with private and government entities. This one is correct. So they are allowed to enter contracts, private and government entities. Kini ang sayop. Libre sila sa forest charges o kung ang timber and non-timber forest products nila is na harvest gikan sa plantation. Dili sila malibre kung magbayad sila sa forest charges kung ang harvest nga gikuha nila kay nagikan sa natural forest. Kuha niya. So this one is the correct answer. So CBFM integrates the following program except Dina.
Oo, kabalo sir. Ay, saan na?
It's actually SIFMAP. SIFMAP ang correct answer na niya. Okay, mga sagot na nila. ISFP, yun siya, that's Integrated Social Forestry Program. Ang CFP, yan siya, Community Forestry Program. Kana dayo FLMP, I think this one is Forest Land Management Program. This one is Socialized Industrial Forest Management Agreement Program. Murag kini SIFMAP. Socialized Industrial Forest Management Agreement. Wala na lang P dapat. Socialized Industrial Forest Management. This one is related dito sa IFMA. Dili sa CBFM. Because usually gina-award ni kung industry. So the correct answer is SIFMAP. So except. I-integrate sa CBFM kini. Next, which of the following is not the responsibility of people's organization in the implementation of CBFM? Participate in site identification, selection, and boundary delineation. Designate area for the sustainable land use in accordance with your native costumes, traditions, etc. Pay forest charges, none of these. Correct answer is connect. To designate area for their sustainable use and in accordance with their native costumes, traditions, etc. So which is not the responsibility of PO in the implementation of CBFM. They are not the one who will designate area for their sustainable use. Okay. So next, which of the following is not a principle in community organization process? People in the community are instrument of change. People want change and have the capacity to change themselves. Community organizing is a process and not a solution for the problem. In community organizing, the decision is from top to bottom. Kasi answer ani Samuel. Erica. Wala naman. Erica? What's the answer? Not a principle.
Community organizing is a process and not a solution to a problem. Ay, joke lang.
It's actually a correct, ano na siya? Sa principle na siya. Correct answer is kini. People want change and have the capacity to change themselves. Kaya kung kaya nila mag-change themselves hindi na lang sila i-organize. Okay? Hindi na lang sila i-organize. So, people want change and they have the capacity to change pero kinahanglan sila i-assist. That's why na-develop ang community organizing na process. Okay? Okay. That's why na-develop ang kining community. Wait. Community organizing. Is not the principle of community organizing. No. Let me correct it myself. The correct answer is kini. In community organizing, the decision is from top to bottom. Okay? When you say top to bottom, na dito sa taas lang ang ga-decide, musunod lang ang naa sa ubos. Sa wrong principle sa community organizing. Ang community organizing, dapat ang mag-decide katong yung whole group, including katong bottom. So the whole community will decide for themselves, not the top, those who are in command lang. Okay? So, kining second, people want change and have the capacity themselves. Actually correct. So, with this, capable sila mag-change, gusto sila mag-change, and then naa sila yung capacity to change themselves. However, kinahanglan lang sila i-assist. That's why na-develop ang community organizing. So, part yapon niya siya sa principle. So, the mistake sa kining mga choices is kini. The decision is from top to bottom. This one is wrong. Kini especially kining top to bottom. So, in community organizing, dapat ang mag-decide the whole group yun, the whole community. Not only those who are the persons who make decisions are the whole community in itself. Tanan members ng community. Not only those who are in the top sa community or in the leadership na positions. So this one is the correct answer. Next, in the Philippines, grazing in the forest land is limited to areas having a slope of, the answer is 19 to 49%. Grazing land can be only applied if the slope area is 19 to 49%. More than that, dili na pwede. Next, it refers to shifting cultivation practices on land normally not suitable for permanent field crop cultivation. Si answer ani Tisha.
Kaingin, sir.
All of this. Pareho ra ni sila. Kaingin is pareha is
Oo.
also known as Sweden agriculture. And also, it is also known as shift slash and burn. Slash and burn cultivation. Synonym ra ni sila, murag pareho ra ni sila pasabot tanan. Kaingin, Sweden agriculture, and slash and burn. So, frequency is all of this. In any given social system, these are groups of people who are very traditional in orientation and would never adapt in innovation unless it's already superseded by a newer technology. Which group is referred to here? Si answer ano Regine. Si answer ano yung question?
Laggard.
Yeah, laggards. Laggards or slow, sige, other term na nila. Late adapters. Slow or late adapters. Muna ang mga laggards. Okay? Ingon dito, sila daw tong mga traditional ang orientation and would never adapt innovation. Usually ka ng mga tigulang, mga kinaraan na style. So they are known as laggards. For PO to participate in CBFM programs, the member, in addition to being Filipino, must be actually tilling portions of the CBFM area to be awarded. Sa correct answer. Dapat cultivator na sila dito daan sa area. Dili kay tagalagyo sila. A tenure instrument awarded to individuals or families under CBFM program is called, so may answer yan Dina.
Kalsi, sir.
No, Kalsi is for ancestral land claim. Para ni sa kanang mga IP na mag-apply og ancestral land. CBFMA, Kalsi, or CSC? The correct answer is CSC. Certificate of Stewardship Contract. Okay? The tenure instrument nila awarded to individual families under CBFM program is called Certificate of Stewardship Contract or CSC. Individual contact approach can be done through, what's the answer? Janisa.
Home visit, sir.
All of the choices. Individual contact, meaning murag makig-contact yun si extensionist sa farmer. Consultation is actually correct. Home visit, yan, tuwan yun sa ilang balay. Or informal discussion with farmer beneficiary, like nagtagbo lang sila sa dalan, nagstorya din sila. So that's already an individual contact. So all of the choices. Okay, tingnan niyo ha. Community forestry management agreements are Erika.
Are renewable for 25 years.
Yeah, that's correct. Renewable for 25 years. The minimum area for CBFMA is, say, 5,000 hectares. Okay, for CBFMA. Social forestry is not focused on satisfaction of basic human needs for forest-dependent communities, business development and industrial growth, proper distribution of forest products and services, active participation of local communities in their own development. Lester. Kasama siya ni Lester.
Sir, satisfaction of basic human needs for forest-dependent communities.
Kaya mo na ang focus with sa social forestry. Kining number 1. The answer for this one is kining B, business development and industrial growth. Okay? Dili na focus sa social forestry. But kining satisfaction of basic need forest dependent, proper distribution of forest products, and active participation of local communities in their own development, that is goal of social forestry. Kini, forestry extension law is better known as saman, Regine.
RA 3523.
Yeah, that's correct. RA 3523. Manin ninyo ha. Which of the following is true about free prior informed consent or FPIC? So it is a consensus of ICC and IP members. It has to be in accordance with ICCP, IP customary laws and practices, cannot be manipulated, obtained after disclosing fully intent and scope of the activity. Ano sa ginikwaon ng FPIC? For example, nisulod mo sa namoy project buhaton sa ancestral domain or ancestral land. Na activity ninyo nga ma-involve dito. Dito ninyo i-conduct. So mag-conduct mo og FPIC, meaning i-inform ninyo ang IP kung unsa ang inyong project, kung unsa ang inyong buhaton. Sige, so asa dapat ani ang correct answer? Which of the following is true about FPIC? Trisha. Trisha?
Hindi ko sure, sir. All akong answer ana.
Yeah, that's correct. All of the choices. So tama na siya. So these are all correct. Presidential EO 318 mandated the DNR to adopt CBFM management as a national strategy to achieve sustainable forestry and social justice. This one is actually false. Kasi correct answer ani? EO?
EO 263.
Yeah, EO 263. Itong CBFMA na program. The revised implementing rules of EO 263 further strengthen, reinforce, simplify, and harmonize process the implementation of programs and projects supporting the CPFM strategy was issued through, the correct answer ani is DAO 29 of 2004. Bago ni siya nga, mo ni siyang pinaka-latest nga policy ta, EO 263, harmonizing the process in the implementation of programs and projects supporting CBFM. The establishment and management of CBFM projects in protected areas will be implemented by the PAMB through its protected area superintendent in coordination with the regional office of the DNR. Is that true or false? Sabay mo tubag dali. Samuel.
Di ko sure sir, pero true ako ang answer sir.
No, this actually one is false. Okay, the establishment and management of CBFMP projects in protected areas will be implemented gyapon by the PO. Ang People's Organization gyapon ang mag-implement sa CBFM projects. Si Protected Area Management Board, si PAMB, through its PASO, ng Protected Area Superintendent, supervision lang na sila. Okay? Mga government employee man na sila. Supervision lang na sila sa project sa CBFM na dapat in accordance gyapon sila sa policy. Ang mag-implement sa mga projects, establishment and management sa CBFM projects, ang PO gyapon. Ang People's Organization na ni-apply sa CBFM. Okay? RA 9175 dated November 7, 2002 is changed to Act of 2002. RA 8371 of October 21, 1997 is Indigenous People's Rights Act. Republic Act 9147, July 30, 2001 is the Wildlife Resources Conservation and Protection Act. Sa answer ano eh? Regine?
All true.
Yeah, all statements are true. Sakto to sila tanan. Okay? O sakto ni sila tanan. All the statements are true. So sakto na yung mga policies. By the way, mag-end ko in minute. So we have few remaining questions. So katag kong yung link para mahumanta last. Ha? Sige, see you in a while. End ko ninyo? Audible ba ko? Tricia, Erica, Regine, Lester.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Good. Okay, let's proceed. DAO 2004-29 is the revised regulations for the implementation of CBFM strategy. DAO 25 dated June 29, 1992 is the NIPAS implementing rules and regulations. DAO 2005-10 dated March 14, 2005 is the implementing rules and regulations of the Philippine Clean Water Act of 2004. So, saan ni? Junisa. So, magtanaw mo ano yung mga DAO ha. Yun silang ipang review. Familiaris lang nyo, kini nga DAO. Pero actually, dapat basahon ninyo, DAO sa CBFM, kanang DAO 96-29 ba to? DAO sa CBFM, DAO sa IFMA, dayon, may mo ka ng DAO sa katong NGP. Tante na sila, mga administrative orders. So the correct answer for this one is true. So all statements are true. Next, mass media is very important when Erika,
Convincing the early adapters group to adopt the innovation for easier spread to the rest of the community, sir.
the correct answer for this one is B. Kini. Creating interest in the innovation intended for dissemination. Kini siya. Example sa mga mass media, kanang mga radyo. Diba? Ang mga radyo, nga na-programa, si istorya dito ang angkor sa radyo. Mag-introduce siya nga, inana nga mga farming system, maayos siya, pwede siya gamiton. So, inana ang mass media nga trabaho. So, their goal is to create interest in innovation intended for wider dissemination. Kanang mga convincing early adopters, kato na ng mga individual and group contact. Okay? Kining procedure, mo ni mga farm demonstrations. So, kining potential adopters are evaluating, kini siya, mo na ng demonstrations, kaya po na siya, for actual farming na ni. Kini. DAO 98-41 dated June 24, 1998 covers the implementation of CBFM in watershed reservations. DAO 98-10 dated March 4, 1998 covers the implementation of CBFM in mangrove areas. DAO 15, 1990 refers to the regulation governing the utilization, development, and management of mangrove resources. So all statements are true. Yeah, so try to familiarize lang sa mga DAO. Next, blank is an agroforestry system that failed in the country for its more focus on plantation establishment rather than human settlements. Sa answer ani? Tricia.
Wala ko kabalo, sir.
The correct answer for this one is taongya. Doon dumatong ganiya. Anya magtanom sila og crops during sa time nga gagmay pa ang kahoy. But if madagko na, di na sila i-allow nga magtanom. Dili na suggested na magtanom. So, ang focus kayo magod sa taongya system is plantation good, forest plantation establishment rather than human settlement or kanang provision of cash crops ng pagkaon. So that's why it actually failed. So, kini, DAO 97-32, October 10, 1997, refers to the rules of adjudication of illegal forest products. So, DAO 2000-21, dated 28, prescribes the requirement for the cutting, transport, and disposition of naturally grown timber inside private lands. DAO 59, dated September 3, 1993, consists of revised rules and regulations governing transport, shipment of logs, plywood, veneer, non-timber forest, and other forest-based communities. All these statements are actually correct. So, anyway, I'll give you the electronic file kung dipakita na ko ganiya. Then dito, pwede mo magbasa-basa ng mga administrative orders. However, ang limit ato is I think 2002. So, 2003 and beyond, wala na to'y compilation. SALT 2 means, manani ganiya, SALT 2 is agro-livestock technology. farmers' rejection of an innovation could be, saan ni, Regine?
A and B.
A and B? All of the above. I-reject niya ang innovation, extension niya, extension. I-reject niya ang innovation if reflection of farms non-readiness than farmers' own attitudes towards innovation. Meaning, dili gid siya ganahan o innovate. Second, wala siya resources para mag-innovate. Okay? Gamay ho siya kwarta para mag-change sa iyang farming practice. Also, if mag-fail siya, mahadlok siya nga ma-criticize and ma-ridicule. So all of the above. Which of the following constitute the core objectives of community forestry? Correct answer is all of the above, Kiapon. Sustainable management of forest resources, social justice, partnership between forest development communities and DNR. Ano yung main goal sa community forestry. Agroforestry is all of the above, Kiapon. It's a rehabilitation tool, it's a land use management, at the same time, it's a farming system. So agroforestry is an old age practice but is a new evolving science as exemplified by old age na daw siya nga practice pero at the same time new evolving science siya. Ang example, ang best example ano niya is asan eh? Lester.
Muyong, sir.
All of the above. Ano siya? Muyong system, payo, pinugo system, rice forest coupled with agroforestry system, kana siya are all the same. Pareho ra na siya. Okay? Pare-pareho ra na sila magpasabot. Synonym ra na sila halos. Gingon niya nga old age practice. For example, kanang Banawi rice terraces, pila naman na siya ka year, thousands of years katiguang nga old nga rice field. Nga sustainable nga agroforestry practice. So that's why gina-consider siya as old age practice. Pero at the same time, new evolving science po siya since agroforestry man siya. So napay venues for exploration. So exemplified, meaning example niya is kini sila tulo. Last question. Blank agroforestry system is characterized by the presence of stratified canopy. Ginisa.
Intercropping.
No, it's actually multi-story. Nanadira ang answer. Multi-story. So agroforestry system characterized by the presence of stratified, meaning na ay lower portion, na ay middle, and then na ay upper. The correct answer for that one is multi-story system. Okay? So that's it. That's the final question. So do you have questions? Questions?
Wala,
Prisha,
sir.
Erika, Regine, Janisa, Mr. Samuel. Sige, if none, this is your last, no, naamoy post-test og maani. Okay? Post-test og maani. And then, after this one, after your post-test og maani, prepare na mo para sa midterm exam. Ang midterm exam ninyo, ang coverage kay forest ecosystem and then forest governance and social forestry. So, duwa ka set ang exam. Okay? So, prepare ha, accordingly ha. Remember, critical taan sa inyong competency. So, make sure that you will pass the exams. So, if you have no more questions, then I'll end this meeting and probably see you next week when we start our wood science and technology na area.
Sir.
Excuse me.
Yep, Samuel.
Nang i-upload din mo ning recorded discussion, sir.
Yeah, i-upload ko ni. Napamugod actually kining nani nga putol-putol, madugay kog upload kay ako pa siyang i-combine sa another software. Tapos ako na po dahil yung yung sitawagan i-export. Anya pa din ako mabutang sa YouTube. Kasi mataod-taodan pa ko niya siguro ako upload. Ha?
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
I-upload ko na. Yeah, other questions?
100% sir sa midterm.
No, 200 items. Ang items?
Di ba 2 sets man, so 100, 100, ano?
Yeah, 100. Ano siya?
Okay.
So, random na dayon from all the topics na inyong na undergone. Ha? So that's why you try to study. Kay midterm exam naman. Okay, if you have no more questions, then see you next week na lang. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Salamat, sir.
Thank you.
Sir.
Thank you.